Good morning. So I forgot to do something yesterday. It was Wednesday and I forgot to say it was hump day. Mike. So I apologize about that. So we want to manage our state. We know that we have the choice as to how we respond to any event. All right. So how do we do that? You know, if I say, okay, I don't want to live in reaction. I want to design my own life and not be part of somebody else's design for theirs. Okay, that's great. I say that to the universe. Now, how do I actually do it? Well, number one is, I know this sounds overly simplistic, but number one is to decide. You got to decide that, in fact, that's how you're going to live your life. You got to intentionally make the decision, that's where I'm going to go. Just like anything else. If I'm going to live the rest of my life being in great shape, if I'm going to have financial independence, if I'm going to be a great spouse, that comes from a decision that, in fact, you're going to do that particular thing. That's the 80% psychology. Then 20% always comes in that there is certain systems that you need to put into place. Well, when it comes to managing your state, and state is the emotions that you're currently feeling. That's your state. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you excited? Are you tired? What we've learned, and when we say we, I mean, you know, what NLP and scientists and everybody have learned is we kind of, humans, I think, especially us here in the West, we think that what happens decides how we feel, not just in terms of events, but in terms of other things, like the weather. You know, I don't have a lot of energy right now because it's too hot. You know, today, right now, it's like 100 degrees here. I don't have energy because it's too cold, or I haven't had enough sleep, all of those things. Do those things impact us? Sure. I mean, they absolutely do. But the reality is those aren't what control how we feel. We control how we feel using three different systems: our physiology, our physical body, our focus, the thing that we're focusing on mentally, and the language/belief about what's happening. The language is the language that we're using to describe the event, and we couple with that the belief about that particular language. And what do I mean by that? And we'll talk about each one of these over the next 3 days. Today we'll talk about state. But what do I mean by the belief about that particular language? Well, the same word can mean different things to different people. That's what that means. So, state is comprised of three things. Think of a triangle: physiology, focus, what you're focusing on, and the language/belief about that particular thing that you're focusing on. So let's talk about your physical body. Have you ever had a time when you were tired or down or lethargic, and all of a sudden something happened and it snapped you into a heightened state? Could be something bad. It could be something negative, and it's all of a sudden you were on high alert and how you felt was completely gone. Okay, well, it wasn't the event that did that. It was your response to the event that caused you to feel the way that you were feeling. Amy Cuddy, and I know somebody will post this, take a look at Amy Cuddy's video on the power of stance. And Tony Robbins was teaching this stuff. We got to give him credit. He was teaching this stuff 40 years ago. But they finally did a study that shows that when we take certain postures, it isn't just that we feel differently, it's that the chemical makeup of our body completely changes. When you stand in a power pose, Superman, Wonder Woman, when you stand with your hands like this, with your arms crossed, lean back, the chemical composition of your body dramatically changes. Just standing in that pose for 2 minutes will increase your testosterone dramatically and decrease your adrenaline dramatically just by standing in that pose. So it isn't just that you feel differently, mind over matter kind of thing. It's that you chemically are changing your body. Deepak Chopra has some of the greatest stuff on this. If you've never read any of his books or listened to any of his podcasts or interviews, I would encourage you to take a look at that. He talks about how if we're like riding a roller coaster, we go to Disney and we're riding Magic Mountain. And for us, that is one of the greatest experiences that we can have. Then while we're on that ride, we will be producing molecules in our body that are the equivalent of what many people take drugs for in order to try to, we'll feel tranquility, we'll feel, excitement, we'll feel euphoria. And instead of paying a pharmaceutical company to feel that way and not getting it in the proper dosage, if we put our bodies into that state, our body produces those chemicals. You know, we don't need to take pills in order to feel differently. We can feel differently simply by the way that we hold our body. And that's now been proven scientifically. Stand in that power pose, testosterone goes up, adrenaline goes down. Now, on the other hand, if riding Magic Mountain is sheer terror, now we're going to produce adrenaline and cortisol, and we're going to produce all kinds of things that cause our bodies to break down and are not good for us. You know, I just did back-to-back Tony Robbins events, and I get asked all the time when I'm at those events, how do you do that? How do you guys maintain your energy? Well, for us, this is a euphoric kind of experience. We love this. It fulfills all of our 6 human needs at a very high level. So it's easier to get excited about doing that every day. But we also manage our physical body. At the beginning of the events, we do a series of things in order to get our physical body in shape. And one of the things that I found about people who are successful is they all have a morning routine. And in that morning routine, part of it is all of the things that I just talked about with the triad. They do something with their physical body, something physical in exercise. They do something that talks about what they're focusing on. They meditate, they read, and they do something about the language that they're saying in their head and the belief about that in terms of their life. Usually it's gratitude. Usually they go to gratitude. And some people do all of this through meditation. Some people do it through exercise. Some people do it through a combination of both. I get up and do Tony Robbins' priming every morning, and then I do something physical every morning, and I also review my roles and my goals, and I upload all of those things. So we decide how we feel. We are not at the effect. We are at the cause. But you have to make a decision that you're going to take charge of how you feel. You're going to take charge of your physical body, and you're not going to allow the world to dictate what your response is going to be. Number one, you do that by making a decision. Then number two, you do that by using the 3 things that make up how we feel. And the first one, and the one that's most impactful, is your physiology, your physical body. A radical change in physiology is going to radically change how you feel. Last example. Thank you, everybody, for hanging on. This is a long one. I love this material. When you watch a professional athlete get ready to do what they're going to do, I mean, watch a batter. We got baseball coming up. Watch a batter. When they're coming up to the plate, do they just walk up like this with the bat dragging on the ground, and they get up and they put the bat on their shoulder and then they're ready? No, they have a ritual. They have a routine that they go through to get themselves ready to participate in that event. They use their physical body, and they anchor in certain things, and they think about certain things. Every professional athlete does this right before they're going to perform. If you're coaching your kid, and your kid was walking up to bat, and that was their physiology, you would change their physiology. You would grab them and say, hey, you're not ready to bat. You're not ready to do this. But we don't do that every day. We don't do that before we're going to interact with our spouse. We don't do that before we're going to interact with our kid. We don't do that before we're going to make a presentation or have a meeting or do whatever. Well, the people who truly run their lives do. The people that we talk about all the time because of the successes that they create, they intentionally do those things. They use their physical body. They do movements. They do incantations. They do this type of stuff so that they are at their peak and ready to perform, no matter if they had a perfect night's sleep, no matter if they've had the perfect nutrition, no matter where they are. And there are limits. You can't push your body forever, but you can at times get yourself where you need to be in order to do the things that you need to do. And the first part that it starts with physiology. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we'll talk about language/belief, and then the next day we'll talk about focus. But thank you very much for staying on, everybody. I know this was a long one. I appreciate it. Mr. Drehobel, great to see you. Colleen, thank you so much. Michelle, great to see you on. Anita, oh my goodness. And Bryn, everybody's here this morning. Janet, thank you so much. Melanie Julius, glorious to see you here, dear. I hope I get to run into you soon. I saw Luann Shermer when I was out looking for my bike. Girl has not aged a day. Jacqueline, thank you so much for hopping on. Colleen and Kristen and Mary, I truly appreciate everybody taking the time. It means the world to me. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.